Hello, my dear students. Welcome to another class on theatre studies. So, in theatre studies syllabus, we have covered quite a lot of portions as of now. We discussed about Greek drama, and then we came to British drama, how drama evolved in England. In both these countries, drama was related to religious practices. We understood that much. In Greece, it was actually related to Dionysius, the god of wine and fertility, whereas in England, it was related to the church and the practices in the church. So we understood that, and after learning about the introduction of drama or development of drama in England, we learned about the development of proper drama. We learned about Elizabethan age when Shakespeare, Marlowe, etc. they towered over all the other geniuses. And England was also at that time, it was a very favorable place for drama to flourish. So we understood that about Elizabethan age. But after the Elizabethan age, after the death of Shakespeare, what happened was that drama started to decline. So we learned that about that stage in the last video. And today I want to bring you to another important age in the history of drama, that is Restoration period, or Restoration drama is what we are going to discuss in today's class. So what happened after Shakespeare? That's what happened after Elizabethan age. Drama began to decline drastically. So we learned about that in the last video, in the last class. There were many factors for this decline. We learned in the last class, we learned that one of the factors for this decline is that there was lack of genius like Shakespeare. ഷേക്സ്പിയറിനെ പോലെ ഒരു ജീനിയസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള നാടകകൃത്ത് അതിനുശേഷം വന്നില്ല. So that was one factor. But another factor for the decline was civil war. In England, there was a civil war at this point of time. England was a Christian country, but there were different factions of Christians. There were Catholics and then there were Protestants. And within the Protestant sect itself, we can see a group called Puritans. Now, these Puritans, they were very keen on purity. Purity of life, purity of body, purity of soul. This was of prime importance to them. That is why we call them Puritans. They are an extremist section of Christians. At that point of time, they were getting really strong in Britain. So at that point, Charles I was the King of England. Charles I. And Puritan movement was on the rise. It was rising. And according to Puritans, theatre is not a good activity. Any kind of entertainment was considered sinful by the Puritans. Even if it is singing a song, or if you are taking part in a drama or anything, they thought of all kinds of entertainment as sinful. In addition to these, they also had entertainment games like cockfighting, bear baiting, etc. So all these kinds of entertainments were considered sinful by Puritans. അതെല്ലാം പാപമാണ്, നമ്മൾ ജീവിതം എൻജോയ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് പാപമാണെന്നാണ് പ്യൂരിറ്റൻസ് വിശ്വസിച്ചിരുന്നത്. സോ politically, the playwrights and actors, they were clients of the monarchy and aristocracy. ഒരു ഭാഗത്ത് രാജാക്കന്മാര്, aristocracy, മറുഭാഗത്ത് Puritans. And all these playwrights and actors, they always sided with the monarchy, because the kings and the upper class people, the rich men, they were actually patrons and sponsors to these playwrights and actors. So all of them actually supported the royalists, the king, playwrights and actors. But the Puritans, they started gaining supremacy in England. They became very powerful in London especially. And finally, on the morning of 2nd September 1642, they gained control over the city of London. So at the end of English Civil War on 2nd September 1642, they gained absolute control over London. And one of the first things they did was they closed all the theatres in London. So first of all, what they did was Charles the First was the king at that point of time. They executed Charles the First, and Charles the First had a son named Charles the Second. Charles the Second was only 12 years old at that point of time. So he was banished to France, and his father was killed, and Puritans took control over the country, especially London. So one of the first things they did was they ordered the closure of theatres in London. So the theatres were remained closed for 18 years. 18 വർഷം തിയേറ്റർ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആയിട്ടും അടച്ചിടേണ്ടി വന്നു. ഈ പ്യൂരിറ്റൻസിന്റെ റൂള് നടന്ന 18 വർഷം. For 18 years under the Puritan regime, the theatres stayed closed. And the theatres finally reopened only after the restoration of the monarchy in 1660. That is what we will learn about. So this is a picture, a painting or an illustration of the beheading of King Charles the First. So it happened in 1649. I don't know, 1642. That's actually the real year. So in 1642 they captured, the Puritans took control of London. They captured the King Charles the First. They beheaded him, they executed him, and they banished the young son, 12-year-old Charles the Second, to France. Then what happened under the Puritan regime? There was a strictness and austerity of life. Life was really strict. Everybody was considered to adhere to certain standards according to Puritans. Any kind of entertainment was completely banned. So after a while, the leader of Puritans was Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell എന്നാണ് പ്യൂരിറ്റൻസിന്റെ ലീഡറിന്റെ പേര്. After a while, people started getting bored and getting sick and tired of this regime, this Puritan regime. And some people were actually saying out loud that they want monarchy back. They want their king back. And their rightful king, Charles II, was living in France. So many people were crying for Charles II to come back as the King of England. Finally, Oliver Cromwell died in 1658. He had a son, and his son was not actually as good as the father in reigning over England. So finally, in the year 1660, on his 30th birthday, after 18 years, Charles II came back from France and he was reinstated as the King of England. So this particular incident is called Restoration. Restoration of Charles II as the monarch of England. Restoration of monarchy. അപ്പോൾ രാജഭരണം തിരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് റിസ്റ്റോർ ചെയ്തു. അതിനാണ് റെസ്റ്റോറേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So Charles II actually lived most of his life in France. On his 30th birthday, he became the King of England again. So he spent most of his youth in France. And France was always the fashion capital of the world. Since times immemorial, France has been the cultural and fashion capital of the world. So when he was in France, he learned all the fashionable ways of life in France, and he brought all that with him back to England. So whatever was banned in England, it became active in violent excess after Charles II became king. അപ്പോൾ ചാൾസ് II ഫ്രാൻസിൽ നിന്ന് പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് വന്ന ഫാഷനബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം തന്നെ ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിൽ പതിവാക്കി. മുൻപ് whatever was not there in restoration period, it was there in violent excess during Charles II's regime. സോ ചാൾസ് II ഫ്രാൻസിൽ നിന്ന് കൊള്ളരുതായ്മകളെല്ലാം പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് വന്ന് ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിൽ കൊണ്ട് കൊടുത്തു. ഇപ്പം ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിന്റെ കൾച്ചർ തന്നെ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് മാറി. വി ക്യാൻ സീ ദിസ് ഇൻ സോഷ്യൽ ലൈഫ്, ആർട്ട് ആൻഡ് ലിറ്ററേച്ചർ. ഇൻ ഓൾ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് വി ക്യാൻ ആക്ച്വലി സീ ദിസ്. ആൻഡ് ഫൈനലി തിയേറ്റേഴ്സ് were opened after 18 years. Just like what we are seeing now, all the theaters, the movie theaters are closed due to coronavirus. So something similar happened back then, but for 18 years it stayed closed. And finally, theatres were opened in after 18 years in the year 1660. So after this, drama developed considerably. This age is called the Restoration Age, and drama developed considerably. There were developments in the field of tragedy and comedy. So after the reopening of theatres, they performed many plays from the previous era. There were many Shakespeare adaptations and all, but also some new genres of drama developed in the form of restoration comedy and all. So let us see what kind of developments happened in tragedy and comedy. So you can see the image of the coronation of Charles II. So this is Charles II on his 30th birthday, becoming the monarch of England once again. So he was the Prince of England when he left England, and after 18 years he returned as a King of England. So let us look at the developments in the field of tragedy and comedy during Restoration Age. First of all, in the field of tragedy, there was a new form of tragedy called heroic play, which developed during this period. So in tragedy, a most novel matter of form was developed. It was called the heroic play. So this is a new type of tragedy. It became very prominent after the Restoration. Let us discuss the chief features of this heroic play. First of all, this drama, this particular play will be centered around a great heroic figure or a great central personage. ഒരു വലിയൊരു ഹീറോയിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു മനുഷ്യൻ, അയാളെ ചുറ്റിപ്പറ്റിയാണ് ഈ സംഭവങ്ങളെല്ലാം നടക്കുന്നത്. Then what happens to this hero? A series of incidents are centered around the central figure, and these incidents were almost ridiculous through their extravagance. ഈ ഹീറോയെ ചുറ്റിപ്പറ്റി റിഡിക്യുലസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരുപാട് ഇൻസിഡൻസ് നടക്കും. റിയൽ ലൈഫിലൊന്നും ഉണ്ടാവാത്ത തരത്തിൽ അയാളുടെ ലൈഫിൽ ഭയങ്കര പ്രശ്നങ്ങളും പ്രതികൂലങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും. സോ എ സീരീസ് ഓഫ് റിഡിക്യുലസ്ലി എക്സ്ട്രാവഗന്റ് ഇൻസിഡൻസ് വുഡ് ഹാപ്പൻ സെന്റേർഡ് അറൌണ്ട് ദിസ് ഹീറോ. And about the style of these plays, the style was really loud and declamatory. Loud style, artificial style ആയിരുന്നു ഇതിന്. And heroic play also used rhymed couplet a lot. Rhymed couplet is two lines rhyming each other. So even heroic play was actually written in the form of poetry, and they used rhymed couplet a lot. And what kind of themes happened in heroic play? First of all, an impossibly idealistic love. വളരെ എന്താ പറയുക, ഭയങ്കര ഒരു ഐഡിയലിസ്റ്റിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പ്രണയബന്ധം. It is actually impossible in real life, but when it came on stage, it was always very idealistic. And another important theme was honor. And this particular hero would do anything to protect love and honor. That was the kind of play called heroic play. And what about the characters? Characters were stock characters. Stock characters are, you have certain kinds of characters who appear in every single play. That's called stock character. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മലയാളം ഒരു സിനിമയുണ്ട് അല്ലേ, സാഗർ കോട്ടപ്പുറം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു നോവലിസ്റ്റ് വരുന്നുണ്ട്, അയാൾ കഥ എഴുതുകയാണ്. അപ്പം അതിൽ പുള്ളിക്കാരൻ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, എൻ്റെ നോവലിലൊക്കെ എന്തോന്നിരിക്കുന്നതോ എല്ലാ കഥയിലും കാണും ഒരു പണക്കാരിയായ ഒരു കാമുകി, പാവപ്പെട്ടവനായ ഒരു കാമുകൻ. അടുത്ത കഥയാവുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് പണക്കാരനായ കാമുകനാവും, പാവപ്പെട്ടവളായ കാമുകിയാവും. അത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. പിന്നെ എല്ലാത്തിലും ഒരെണ്ണത്തിൽ റബ്ബർ എസ്റ്റേറ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ ഒരെണ്ണത്തിൽ ഫാക്ടറി ആയിരിക്കും. കഥയിൽ വലിയ മാറ്റമൊന്നുമില്ല, പക്ഷെ എല്ലാ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സും ഏകദേശം ഒരേ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ്. ഇതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റോക്ക് ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. സ്റ്റോക്ക് ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ആർ always taken from a stock. They are not realistic characters. You can see these kind of characters in every single work. For example, these days in Malayalam movies, we have some faces who always play the same role. Like Anushri, she always plays the role of a person who will break up with the hero. ഒരു തേപ്പിസ്റ്റ് എന്നൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പറയും, തേപ്പുകാരിയായിട്ടാണ് സ്ഥിരമായിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി എ സ്റ്റോക്ക് ക്യാരക്ടർ. സോ ദീസ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ഓഫൺ എക്സിബിറ്റ് എക്സാജറേറ്റഡ് ഇമോഷൻസ്, നോട്ട് റിയൽ ലൈഫ് ഇമോഷൻസ്, എ ലിറ്റിൽ ബ്ലോൺ അപ്പ് ഔട്ട് ഓഫ് പ്രൊപ്പോർഷൻസ്. And this particular form, heroic play, it was first introduced by Sir William Davenant. And this form was also influenced by French dramatists Corneille and Racine. And it was also influenced by English drama of Beaumont and Fletcher. We learned about Beaumont and Fletcher in the last class. So these were the people who introduced and influenced heroic play. Let's look at some people who wrote heroic play. First of all, John Dryden. He was one of the most skillful exponents of heroic play. Dryden wrote many heroic plays. He wrote heroic plays as well as tragedies, blank verse tragedies. His heroic plays are The Indian Emperor, Tyrannic Love, The Conquest of Grenada, and Aurangzeb. Okay. Now, you won't be able to remember all these names, but you can remember two names. The Indian Emperor. Who is the Indian Emperor? Aurangzeb. So, you can at least remember these two. And he has also written blank verse tragedies. Some of his tragedies are All for Love, The World Well Lost. This is actually the same drama. And then he has also written an imitation of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. So that is all about John Dryden. But we have other tragedians too. Other tragedians are, first one is Thomas Otway. He has written two plays, many plays actually, two are more important than the others. The Orphan and Venice Preserved. And the second playwright is Nathaniel Lee. He wrote The Rival Queens and Nero. And there is a third dramatist, John Crowne. John Crowne wrote a play called Caligula. So these were the tragedies of the age. The tragedy of the age was called heroic play. This is a new form that developed. Main features are there will be a central heroic personage. A series of ridiculously extravagant incidents would happen around this hero. It had loud and declamatory style. Rhyming couplet was used. Themes were love and honor. Characters were stock characters, often with exaggerated emotions. And the form was introduced by Sir William Davenant, influenced by French dramatist Corneille and Racine, and by English dramatist Beaumont and Fletcher. So that's all about heroic play. Now let us see what kind of changes happened to comedy in the Restoration age. Restoration comedy is also called comedy of manners. So Restoration comedy is also called comedy of manners. So this is a great advance in comedy. It was very noteworthy. So we can see that just before Restoration age, Ben Jonson introduced something called comedy of humors. We discussed this in the last class. So this particular comedy of humors, its popularity was actually dying out. And it was then replaced by a new kind of comedy called comedy of manners. Now, what is this comedy? It was actually something new. It had a new snap and glitter. And for the first time, prose was used instead of poetry to write comedy. So, prose was used. And who influenced this new comedy? It was actually influenced by two people from England, three people actually, Ben Jonson and Beaumont and Fletcher. Even though Beaumont and Fletcher are two people, we always consider them as one because they collaborated to write plays. So Ben Jonson and Beaumont and Fletcher. And it also was influenced by other European or continental dramatists like Molière and Calderon. Molière is a French dramatist. He provided restoration comedy with ideas for plots and characterization. Plot ഐഡിയാസും ക്യാരക്ടറൈസേഷനും മോളിയറിൽ നിന്നാണ് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. ബട്ട് കാൽഡറൻ ആക്ച്വലി പ്രൊവൈഡഡ് the love of intrigue and incident. We will learn more about intrigues and incidents in the coming parts of the video. So that is an introduction to comedy of manners, a new development in restoration comedy, new kind of comedy, comedy of manners. It replaced comedy of humors. The prose was used as a medium and it was influenced by Ben Jonson and Beaumont and Fletcher in England, and in the continent, Molière and Calderon. So let's look at what comedy of manners is. So mainly comedy of manners reflected the court life of the period. Court, by court I mean the royal court, not the court of law, it's a royal court. അപ്പോൾ രാജസന്നിധി എന്ന് പറയില്ലേ, രാജധാനിയിൽ നടക്കുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങൾ, അതൊക്കെയാണ് ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ കോമഡി ഓഫ് മാനേഴ്സ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു ഫാഷനബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ലൈഫിന്റെ പോർട്രേയൽ ആയിരുന്നു കോമഡി ഓഫ് മാനേഴ്സിൽ വരുന്നത്. മെയിനായിട്ടും the main content of Comedy of Manners was the relations and intrigues of men and women living in a sophisticated upper class society. So, upper class society, during those times, many fashionable practices were performed by the upper class society. For example, in those days, a married lady, most probably it was fashionable for her to have an affair with a younger man. It was actually considered very fashionable. If you don't have an affair with a younger man, it was considered as you are not enough of a lady or something. So that kind of practices were there. And Comedy of Manners actually portrays such relationships between men and women in the sophisticated upper class society in a very jocular way. ഒരു വളരെ തമാശയായിട്ടുള്ള രീതിയിലാണ് ഇതുപോലത്തെ അവിഹിതമായിട്ടുള്ള റിലേഷൻസും കാര്യങ്ങളും എല്ലാം കാണിക്കുന്നത് കോമഡി ഓഫ് മാനേഴ്സിൽ. And the comedy is actually derived from the wit and sparkle of the dialogue. The dialogue was very comic. It had wit and sparkle. And also, there were many comic circumstances, many comic situations. Like there were jealous husbands were actually seen, and jealous husbands would violate the social standards and decorum. And there were many characters like conniving rivals and foppish dandies. I'll tell you all about all these. Like conniving rivals means for a lady's hand there would be two or more men fighting with each other. Similarly, there will be a very fashionable a man in the play. He will always be dressed according to the fashion of the day. His hair will be fashioned according to the fashion of the day and all. So these people were called foppish dandies. And many ladies would want to have an affair with this dandy. That will make them rivals with each other. So all these circumstances provided a lot of wit or a comic effect. So let's look at dialogue. Dialogue was mainly in the form of repartee. Repartee is a witty conversational give and take. നമ്മൾ തർക്കുത്തരം തറുതലയൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത് പോലെ തോന്നും. വൺ ലൈനേഴ്സ് ആണ്. ഒരു ക്യാരക്ടർ ഒരു വൺ ലൈൻ പറയുന്നു. വൺ ക്യാരക്ടർ വിൽ ആക്ച്വലി സേ എ ഡയലോഗ് ഇൻ വൺ ലൈൻ ആൻഡ് a witty remark will be made by the next character. So it will just go on for page after page. So it was such a kind of dialogue was called repartee. It's a witty conversational give and take. So it's like a verbal fencing match. വാക്കുകൾ കൊണ്ട് ഒരു വാൾപ്പായിട്ട് നടത്തുന്ന പോലെ ഒരാൾ പറയുന്നു, ഒരാൾ തർക്കുത്തരം പറയുന്നു, അതിങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കും. So that provided to the comic effect too. And this particular kind of drama, it was full of vitality, full of energy. Instead of emotion, we had wit, and instead of poetry, we had concise prose. And what about the characters? Characters were also stock characters or type characters. And another important thing is that most of these characters, their characteristic, their nature was actually indicated by their names. For example, a servant was called Scrub. Servant was called Scrub. What does the servant do? He scrubs the floors, right? So Scrub is a servant. Colonel Bully. Bully is a person who always threatens somebody. So Colonel Bully, he must not be a very pleasant man to be around. Then Sir John Brute. Brute is also somebody who's strong and cruel and all. Lady Bountiful. Bountiful is somebody who gives a lot. So vari kori kodukkunna oru lady. And in this particular circumstance, you can try to understand what she provides a lot of. Right? ഈ അപ്പർ ക്ലാസ് സോഫിസ്റ്റിക്കേറ്റഡ് സൊസൈറ്റിയിൽ ആണുങ്ങളും പെണ്ണുങ്ങളുമായിട്ടുള്ള റിലേഷൻഷിപ്സ് ആണ്. ഒരുപാട് അവിഹിത ബന്ധങ്ങളും കാര്യങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് ദീസ് ആർ കോൾഡ് അമറസ് ഇൻട്രീഗ്സ്. സോ അമറസ് ഇൻട്രീഗ്സ് വെർ എ ടോപ്പിക് ഫോർ മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് കോമഡി ഓഫ് മാനേഴ്സ് പ്ലേസ്. So And these plays were so immoral at that point of time. Many people actually attacked these plays vehemently, especially Puritans attacked these plays. And there is a most notorious attack called Short View of the Immortality and Profaneness of the English Stage by Jeremy Collier. ഇപ്പൊ ജെറമി കോളിയർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടൊരു പള്ളിയിലച്ചൻ അയാൾ ഇതിനെതിരെ വളരെ ശക്തമായി പ്രതികരിച്ച ഒരു പാംഫ്ലെറ്റ് ഒക്കെ ഇറക്കി. ആ പാംഫ്ലെറ്റിന്റെ പേരാണ് ഷോർട്ട് വ്യൂ ഓഫ് ദി ഇമ്മൊറാലിറ്റി ആൻഡ് പ്രൊഫൈനസ് ഓഫ് ദി ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് സ്റ്റേജ്. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ഓഫ് പ്രൈം ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ്. ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി ആസ്ക്ഡ് certainly for 1 mark question, I believe. So that is very important. So I'll tell you an example from this particular play, The Country Wife. The Country Wife എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പ്ലേയിൽ there is this foppish dandy, a very fashionable man who wants to have physical relationship with as many women as possible in the city. So for that he makes a rumor about himself. He makes this rumor that when he was on tour he had an injury and he cannot perform sexually. അയാൾക്ക് സെക്ഷുവൽ പെർഫോമൻസിനുള്ള പവർ നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു എന്നൊരു റൂമർ അയാൾ തന്നെ അയാളെ പറ്റി പറഞ്ഞങ്ങ് പരത്തി. So after that what happened was, all the husbands, earlier the husbands were actually really worried when the wives would go to visit him, because he is a very beautiful and a handsome young man to look at. All these women wanted to spend time with him, play chess with him and all. So these husbands, after that, they thought, okay, so he can't sleep with my wife, so let me just take my wife to him for a visit and leave my wife there so that I can go out and enjoy with my friends. So all these husbands would leave their wives with this man, and the wives actually knew that there was nothing wrong with this man. So while their husbands were away, they would have physical relations, sex with this man. And there is this particular scene where this man brings his wife to this fashionable man's house, and she says that this man has a lot of good china എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ crockery, അതായത് cups, saucers and those kinds of things, pots and all. So he has very good quality china. I really want it. And the husband says, I'll take you there, you go and get your china. But china is actually a code word for sex. So what happens is, when this lady and her husband comes to this guy's house, the bedroom is actually closed. So he is already inside the bedroom with another lady. And there's a lot of noises going in there. And we know what kind of noises are happening. But the wife says to the husband, she is looking for his china. I want that china. So let me go in. You stand outside and guard the door. So the husband is actually cheering for the wife while the wife tries to get into the room. The husband says, go and get it, go and get it. And while that is happening, the audience knows that he is actually cheering for his wife sleeping with another man. So when he finally comes out with both the ladies, this particular our hero is actually really tired because he just gave a lot of china to 2 ladies. And at that point of time, 2 more ladies come claiming for china, and he says, I don't have any china left for today. ഇന്നത്തേക്ക് എനിക്ക് ഇത്രേ പറ്റൂ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So that was a very immoral kind of scene. Husbands cheering for wives to have sex with another man and all. So that is why it was actually vehemently attacked by the Puritans. So this is a model of restoration theatre. You can see how many people are actually attending the theatre. Earlier, theatre going was considered to be sinful, but now a lot of people are sitting on this galleries. A lot of people are sitting down here. The theatre itself is a huge structure, and in this particular theatre, I think curtains were used. There was also scenery painting was used. Every act scenery was actually changed and all. So that is restoration theatre, and these are a few pictures of what happens in the theatre. You see how many, they are all very happy to be in the theatre. These kind of activities are going on, and even inside the theatre a lot of and prostitution and all goes. Like there will be these ladies dressed very provocatively, very sensually, showing their cleavage and all, trying to sell oranges, but they are really prostitutes. So that kind of immorality was going on in the theaters. And let's look at some playwrights who wrote comedy of manners. The most important, the greatest of Restoration comedy writers is William Congreve. And comedy of manners reached perfection in Congreve's works. So these plays are a reflection of the upper class society during this time. But we can note that his tone is very cynical and his characters are well drawn and the prose is concise and pointed. The most important plays of William Congreve are The Old Bachelor, The Double Dealer, Love for Love, The Way of the World. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ ഡബിൾ ഡീല്, ദി ഓൾഡ് ബാച്ചിലർ, ലവ് ഫോർ ലവ്, പേരൊക്കെ കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ നമുക്കൊരു എന്താ പറയുക, ദിസ് ഇസ് സംതിങ് നോട്ടി എന്നൊരു ഫീലിംഗ് വരും. ദെൻ കംസ് വില്യം വൈഷേർലി. സോറി, വില്യം വൈഷേർലിയുടെ സ്പെല്ലിങ് ഇതല്ല. ലെറ്റ് മീ ജസ്റ്റ് ചേഞ്ച് ഇറ്റ് ഫോർ യു റൈറ്റ് ഹിയർ റൈറ്റ് നൗ. സോ William Wycherley. William Wycherley, his plays were much coarser, much rougher than William Congreve's plays. So let's look at some of these play names. Love in a Wood, The Gentleman Dancing Master, The Country Wife, The Plain Dealer. Now, if you just put all these plays together in itself, you will get a naughty meaning. So The Gentleman Dancing Master and The Country Wife are loving in a wood and all. You can just make some code like that to remember these plays. Then comes George Etheridge. He painted a true picture of the graceful, heartless upper class of the period in his plays. Let's look at 3 plays by him. Love in a Tub, She Would If She Could, The Man of Maud. If you just put together these 3 plays, She Would If She Could, Love in a Tub, The Man of Maud, that itself becomes a scandal. And there are other playwrights like Sir John Vanberg. He wrote plays like The Relapse, The Provoked Wife. John Farquhar wrote The Recruiting Officer. Thomas Shadwell was another minor playwright during this time. He wrote The Sullen Lovers and Bury Fair. So this brings us to the end of the class on Restoration drama. So Restoration drama developed in 2 directions, tragedy and comedy. Tragedy was called heroic play. Comedy was called comedy of manners. Comedy of manners, we see how it was inspired by Ben Jonson and comedy of humors, and also Bowman and Fletcher, Moliere and Calderon. And this was a new kind of comedy. It actually reflected the court life of the period, deals with the relationships and intrigues. Intrigues are again love affairs or something like that. Whatever happened between the secret relationships between men and women in the upper class society. A lot of comedy was actually performed through the dialogue, witty dialogue. Dialogue was in the form of repartee. It was very energetic. Emotion was replaced by wit. Poetry was replaced by prose. Characters were type characters, and it was vehemently attacked by many people. So that brings us to the end of this presentation on this class on Restoration drama. I hope you enjoyed this class and that this was beneficial for you. So let me know in comments below how you found it. So stay tuned for another class. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.